Alex, time is running out. How do you feel about this team right now as you...
We're a 500 team. We're playing 500 baseball. I don't think that's good enough. We got to be better. We're playing 500 right now.
The Royals won today. You guys, there's 22 games left.
We're playing 500 baseball. Talking about the Royals and the Twins and everybody else, it doesn't matter. We're playing 500 baseball.
Too much now to overcome?
It's not too much, but we're playing 500 baseball.
Well, that was Alex Cora just a couple of days ago following the sweep at the hands of the New York Mets. Red Sox now 70-70 through 140 games, precisely 500 after all of that, exactly where they have been essentially for the last 5 years, going on 6. They are 426 and 422 since the start of the 2019 season. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what does. Nonetheless, we have a show to do, and we will continue to do one through the end of the season.
We will continue to do the baseball hour, Mazz. That's a bold thing for you to say. Mazz in the flesh on a Friday night? Wow.
I'm uncomfortable. I can't even lie.
There you go. We are past Labor Day. So it is a Friday, and I am indeed back for the weekly Friday roundtable, which typically is more like a booth. It's less of a roundtable and more like a booth with Milliken sitting on one side and McCarthy sitting on the other.
Yeah, we went Lady and the Tramp all summer long. I just stared into his eyes longingly, talking baseball with him. Good to see you, Mazz.
You too, guys. All three of us here tonight, and we will do all Red Sox for the balance of the hour. The real question at the moment, barring some sort of unforeseen major turnaround, some sort of historic comeback, which no one is anticipating, the real story now is where the Red Sox are, where they are going. I have a big picture question as it pertains to the club. But again, just to give you the math, how many games out are they right now? 5.5?
5.5, and the Tigers and Mariners are only 5 back. So they're both ahead of you now before the third and second wild card.
Right, so you're in 9th place in the American League.
Okay, the Red Sox are exactly 500. They have 22 games left. As you guys said, 3 teams in front of them for 2 spots. Is that right?
2 teams in front of them for, the remaining 2 wild card spots you're hoping to grab.
Okay, and if the Red Sox go, just to give you an idea, 16-6 over the final 22 games to get back to 10 over. They win 86 games. I don't think that's going to be good enough. I think last year the number was right around 90.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you're hoping with the Royals, who lost 7 in a row before they beat the Guardians the other night, and then you had the Twins, who also had completely fallen off the face of the earth the last 13 games, going 5-8. You had every opportunity in the world to crawl back in, and that's what's so bothersome about this, is that these teams were begging for you to do something about it, and instead you just crapped your pants completely.
Again, and I would say crapped your pants again, which has been a pattern here with the Red Sox at the end of these seasons. So again, here's the question. 70-70. By all accounts, it's going to be something like 81-81. I know that sounds comical, but it's true.
How
some
about
of us need
78 and 84?
79. Yeah, some of us need 79 or less, Mazz. There you go. We're 80 and less.
Those are the over-under bets. They went 78 and 84 the last 2 years. We'll open up the phone lines right away. By the way, 617-779-0985. But I'll tell you what, before we get to the big picture question, let's first get to the news of the day. It started with the announcement that Rich Hill has been designated for assignment. Tyler, do you have the actual tweet in front of you?
I do. You want me to read the quote here?
Okay, so just to give people the roster move. Rich Hill out, and they brought up who from AAA?
Luis Guerrero, local kid, 27th ring prospect in the system, but a relief arm they've kind of liked for a few years now.
Okay, do we know how old he is?
I believe he's 24.
Okay, so he's relatively young. That's surprising. Most of the guys they bring up are old.
24.
Okay, 24-year-old Luis Guerrero replaces Rich Hill, who's been designated for assignment. What did Alex Cora say about this move?
So, on Rich Hill being DFA'd, tough one. He's going to be a Red Sox for life, but I think it's smart for us to start getting guys here who can contribute now and in the future.
Okay, now and in the future. What do you take that to mean, Matt McCarthy?
White flag. Yep, this is it. We're not going to keep a 44-year-old guy around. We brought him in because we needed left-handed pitching help. We were hopeful that he could help us win some games.
Rushed him.
Right, exactly. They rushed him straight up from Worcester. 2 innings pitched down there, and then he came up to the big leagues. We're not keeping a 44-year-old guy around. when we're no longer capable of making the playoffs. That's it.
And I would go back to his quotes, and it was really a version of Alex Cora I don't think we've seen very much this year. And you can argue the last couple years, when they've collapsed, he's just looked beaten down and said nothing. After that last loss to the Mets where they got swept, and they were saying, hey, well, what about the Twins and the Royals? He goes, stop it. Don't even mention those two teams in the same name as ours. Because guess what? We're 500. We are a 500 baseball team. And again, they continue to try and reframe the question. He goes, no, we're a 500 baseball team. To me, that was the moment where Cora basically made it pretty clear we're not in the same tier as those teams. So stop mentioning us all together in that conversation. We have fallen down.
He said it over and over again. He wouldn't even let people get the question out.
It was great.
Right? So again, he was exasperated. He was frustrated, which frankly, I was happy to hear. Because I started to wonder whether Cora is really as emotionally invested as he's been in other years. I'm still not sure he is.
Well, this whole new healthier mindset version of him that he has had no problem talking about all year long, I want to see it when times are tough. We saw it rise up when things were good and he signed the extension and all that. All right, well, are you going to sit here and mope and cry like you have the last 2 seasons? For once, say what you will. I think so far he hasn't done that. But now with the waving of the white flag, the real test is the next 3 weeks.
See, Tyler, I'm the opposite.
You think he's moping?
No, I don't want to see him handle it well.
Oh.
Because I want him to push back and show ownership and management visibly that he's frustrated. He should be frustrated.
Well, then
and again, everybody, I got a bunch of calls this week from people who think that, what does Alex Cora have on you, Mazz? Yeah, does he have photos of me with barnyard animals like Claude Julien had on the Bruins, according to Felger? So, no photos. And the last couple of years, I thought Cora became, frankly, failed to keep the team pointed in the right direction. This is closer to the end. That was at the trading deadline. We're now in September. He tried to keep a good attitude. They're still failing miserably. Cora holds blame. There's no question. He's not number one on the list.
No, he's not number one. And I think where I kind of go with everything, you go to the trade deadline and overarching point, you should have invested more in this baseball team. Say whether, Tom Werner's comments about being better with defense, you'd be 10 wins better. Well, hey, the reality was maybe if your defense was better, who knows about the pitching, you would be closer to 10 more wins than you are right now, where you are the worst defensive team in all of baseball in terms of errors and unearned runs. But for Cora, where he can't really bitch at this point is the fact that the trade deadline where he sat there and he really gave credit to Craig Breslow and said, hey, you gave me the pitching that I haven't got the last couple years. Were they the big moves? No, but he didn't seem bothered by it. He seemed happy that the floor of the team was kind of held. And I think where I go back to Cora really the last couple years, and he mentioned this before the deadline, the teams around us got better and we stayed the same. They tried to solidify the floor of this team. Well, guess what? Garcia's on the IL, Sims is on the IL, and James Paxton's on the IL. So what you did to solidify the team completely fell through the floor and isn't there anymore. I think that's where he's going to be in a tough spot of trying to angle himself and be like, hey, well, what the hell is going on here? It's just the same problem we had at the very beginning of the season. They deserve more investment. They didn't get it. And what we thought was going to happen, besides the offense really cooling the last 10 days or so, you ran out of arms. You ran out of bullets. And this is where you remain, where other teams can pitch.
Matt McCarthy, if the season ended today, would it be a success?
No, it's not a success.
Why not?
The Red Sox should never be a 500 baseball team, ever. And this is the way they've been for the last 6 years, Mazz. I was listening to you last night. I mean, the stats are astonishing. I mean, they keep finishing 78 and 84. They're probably going to finish about 78 and 84 this year. They're going to finish over the last 6 years with basically a complete 500 record for 6 years running. So no, this is not good enough for the Red Sox. There were positive things that happened with player development this year, and that's good, but it is not translated still enough to winning baseball at the major league level, and that's what the Red Sox should be about.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a couple of calls here in the first segment, and then I have a question that's also related to the state of the team, not whether or not this season was a success at the big league level, because I mean, for those of you who think it was a success at the big league level, I don't know how you could say that. They were 78 and 84 a year ago. They're 70 and 70 now. They look like they were going to contend for a wild card spot right to the very end. We still have, call it 4 weeks to go in the season. They've basically fallen out of it. And I just want to give you one other piece of news out of Fenway Park, which we haven't done yet. Trevor Story apparently will make his major league debut. His return to the Red Sox tomorrow. So convenient timing or inconvenient timing. And I understand Story has played better or went through the rehab process, was swinging the bat reasonably well on his rehab assignment. He'll be back playing shortstop tomorrow. It sounds like Ceddanne Rafaela is going to play second base for the rest of the season. These are all things that you do when you're preparing for the next year. Okay, so that comment that Milliken made and Matt McCarthy made about the white flag is unfolding that way at Fenway Park. Okay, no one is just speculating. The way the Red Sox are making decisions, they are preparing for next year.
In your playoff odds, Fangraphs are at 7%. Baseball Reference, 4.2%.
Too high.
Frank in Boston. Frank, go.
Yeah, hi. It's been a tale of two seasons. You have a team that they were before the break. You have the team that they've been since the break. And you've got what it all averages out to. I'm just curious what you guys think. Which team do you think they're closest to actually being?
Okay. So I think that at the end of the day, the middle is what they are. I think they're mediocre, very, very mediocre. But that to me is really not the most pertinent question. The more pertinent question with the Red Sox concerns the bigger picture. I think everyone knew they weren't going to be in the World Series this year. We all knew that. The question was what it was going to look like at the end. That's what I want to get into with you guys when we come back on the Baseball Hour. Those of you out there, again, 617-779-0985. Don't go anywhere.
Sports Hub.
Kenley is on. He has not pitched since last Friday. Bottom of the 8th inning, 4-3 Mets. Nimmo's been part of it. He took a walk in the first inning to help load the bases for Winker, who crushed a grand slam. And he's on. Nimmo will race up the first base line. He'll take the walk. I always wonder about a closer coming in a non-safe situation. Kenley has disengaged twice. Here's the 3-2. Runners holding. And he walked it. And the bases are loaded for the Mets. No place to put Taylor. And the 3-2 coming. He checks. It is ball 4, and a run is in. It'll be Rich Hill coming on. 5-3 the Mets. With one down, the bases loaded and one home. 3-0, and that is ball 4. And that's going to force in another run. Iglesias will score. Red Sox have walked 4 men in the 8th to make it 6-3. And that's going to be ball 4, and that'll bring in yet another run. The third bases loaded walk in the inning for Boston. In a game that is just dying on the vine, 7-3 Mets.
Dying on the vine is how Dave O'Brien put it about that game the other night. The season, I think, is the same. Dying on the vine. Going to get back to your calls here momentarily, so sit tight. Again, 617-779-0985. Be just a matter of seconds. But here's the question. For those of you out there, and also for Tyler Milliken and Matt McCarthy, both of whom are here tonight on a Roundtable Friday. The real surprise is that I am here with them.
Well, I mean, Mazz, we only have, 3 more of the Roundtable shows, so I'm glad you showed up in time for the end of the season.
Tops.
Finish strong, baby.
3 tops. I think I did 8 of them, and that's it. The rest of them I haven't been here. It's unbelievable. Anyway.
Good gig if you can get it.
So here's the question, again, to those of you out there and to these two guys. Are they in a better spot than they were a year ago? Are they in a better spot than they were a year ago at this time? McCarthy already answered the other question I asked, so Milliken, you go first.
Yes, I will do that because I think now you have a long-term structure. Am I saying you're significantly better? I wouldn't go that far, but I would call it a step in the right direction as a year. Entering this year, it seemed like you were going to go on a whole managerial search. No, you were able to lock up Alex Cora, which I think even with the disagreements and the conversations we've been having recently, we view him as a top 5 manager in the game. So you have Cora and Breslow, at least 2 guys that are leading this organization going forward. Beyond that, with the pitching, while it has taken a step back from the All-Star break to now, I think we've seen, at least from the starting rotation point, they are back on track the last 10 days or so. Solidifying Tanner Houck, at least as a top 3 arm. I don't know if I'm ever going to go as far to call him an ace. I think we can all kind of see a guy who should be able to anchor the middle of the rotation. Cutter Crawford, I would throw in there. Probably closer to a back-end arm, something like a number 4, but he fits in. Jarren Duran elevating and becoming this MVP candidate. Say what you will about the guy. A lot of people didn't believe he was going to be even capable of repeating what 2023 was. You add in the Wilyer Abreu's of the world, who was a legit building block. Ceddanne Rafaela through the ups and downs, building block. Justin Slayton, a long-term arm. And I know people don't want to hear it, the farm system. Christian Campbell, for you 2 years in a row to have the biggest breakout prospect in all of baseball. And Christian Campbell, who now is the number 25 prospect in the entire sport. He's ahead of Kyle Teal. So it's not a big 3, it's a big 4. Roman Anthony is the number 2 prospect in the game. In a week, he will be the number 1 prospect in all of baseball. First time you've had that guy since you had Andrew Benintendi. So to have those kind of pieces right on the edge of the big leagues with still another year forward for Meyer and Teal, who got to AAA, I do think, as a whole, the organization has taken a step forward. Could have been a lot bigger of a step forward, 100%. But there has been progress this year.
Mazz,
McCarthy?
They are technically in a better spot because their young players have continued to develop, as Milliken just outlined. That does not mean that they are still anywhere near enough committed to the idea of building a winning baseball team. What they have now is more assets. They have more pieces than they did a year ago. So yes, technically they're in a better spot than a year ago. What they do not have is a commitment from ownership, a commitment from the front office, a commitment from the decision makers involved to use those assets and to use their financial assets in tandem to build a winning baseball team. It's great that they have a whole bunch of young players. I'm excited about them. Having 8 young left-handed hitters will not help you win baseball games moving forward. You have the assets. Now it's time to build a winning baseball team and make tough decisions tough baseball decisions about how you take this and where they are now and build a really good baseball team, a good starting nine, a good pitching rotation, a good bullpen. That's the next step. I don't know if they're there yet.
Okay, so here's my answer. No. And I'll tell you why, Milliken. I understand some of the particulars you're getting at. Wilyer Abreu, was he in the organization a year ago?
Yeah, but I don't think people thought he was
I just want a yes or a no.
Yes.
Okay, who else did you mention?
In terms, Jaron Duran was one of the names I mentioned.
Was he in the organization a year ago?
He was, not at this level, but
okay.
yes.
Did you think he was a good player a year ago?
Solid.
Okay.
I would never. Would you have said he was a top 5 MVP candidate?
No.
Okay. What do you think of Tanner Houck, who was not even deserving of a rotation spot?
Okay, I thought Tanner Houck was really good for the first 2.5 months. I think Tanner Houck has been what Tanner Houck has been for the last month and a half, 2 months.
So do you think he's not a long-time starter, or do you think he's the number 5 starter, many people pegged him as?
I don't know. It's a good question. Tanner Houck has shown me a little more. I'll grant you that. What was the biggest need on the pitching staff at the beginning of the year?
Top of the rotation arm.
Do they have one?
No,
Okay.
No clear name.
So they're no better in the pitching staff, really.
I think to know that Tanner Houck's going to be in this rotation, I think even Cutter Crawford people had a lot of questions on, and he looks like a legit starting pitcher.
Does he?
Yes, I think he's a number 4 starter. I think he's right in that ballpark. But for people who thought maybe he couldn't make a whole season worth of starts, which was a concern with his delivery because he has that kind of short, strict arm path, similar to Giolito in a lot of ways, I think both of those guys have shown, they can make it through a season and be legit MLB starters.
So again, I come back to this. Your biggest needs entering the season were front-end starting pitching and a big right-handed bat for the middle of the lineup. They are no closer to either one of those things.
Outside of Christian Campbell, who I believe in, but yes, I do agree with you, Mazz, on that. And again, you're going to rely on a kid to come up from Worcester who was in single A last year, was drafted last year, and he's going to be a middle-of-the-order impact bat for you. He might be that 3 years from now. He probably won't be that next year. So again, you can be excited about that, but that doesn't mean that that's going to help you win enough baseball games to make the playoffs next year.
If the Red Sox have the same 40-man roster, basically, next year, going into the season that they have right now, you think people are going to be excited about this team?
Oh, no, I'm not going to sit here and give you the excitement, but they're going to sell you on the big 4. But
no shot.
Where I'll also step in here is the conversations about being able to move pieces. If I said a year ago about talking and moving pieces of the big 3, most people, there were a few that said I'd be willing to move someone. You'd say they really can't afford to because they don't have those building blocks at the major league level. I think everyone here now can admit it feels like you have the blocks to maybe make 2 trades or something beyond.
Guys, they have no choice.
They need to move the roster is overfilling.
Too many left-handed hitters, not enough right-handed hitters, not enough pitching. It's really simple. They have no choice. If they don't move one of those big pieces, maybe 2 of them, I'm sorry, you will have failed this offseason.
Someone's not playing.
How confident are you that they can get that right?
In terms of nailing the trade return?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I'd sit there and I think you can look at Craig Breslow's trades and 50-50 might be a little generous right now.
That's way too generous, and I defended Breslow for the majority of this year. You should question not his willingness to move guys, but his willingness to identify the right players in return. His trades were nothing short of disastrous.
They're really not closer. Not on the key issues. They're really not closer on the key issues.
I just think
because Milliken, I guess what I'm saying is the minor league development is a given. Of course they're going to be better a year later.
Not for a guy to go and rise and be the biggest breakout prospect in minor league baseball. That's such a significant development to where it alters the entire picture of an organization.
Okay, let's see where it gets them.
Fair, more than fair.
Let's see where it gets them. And let's see whether or not they keep them all or trade them and get some pitching. They're no closer to any stud pitching. With front end, they're no closer to that, and they are no closer to a right-handed bat.
I think the right-handed bat, Campbell's the closest thing. I think for assets, though, right? When we were talking, and Trevor Story factors into this equation now, and what happens the next 3 weeks, it had to be Meyer and Story. No matter what, that was going to be your middle infield. Now, can it be Story and Campbell, and Meyer becomes someone you talk about if you want that top of the rotation starter moving forward? The fact that that's a conversation means you have more at your disposal, especially for an organization that does not want to pay for a top of the rotation.
Let's see if they have the balls to make a deal. Mark is in Florida. Mark, go ahead.
Mazz, I agree with you 100%. No superstars, no star power, no real face of the franchise other than Devers.
What is Jaron Duran? Is that not a superstar?
Let him finish, Tyler. Go ahead, Mark.
I think Duran's a good trade piece with Cassis. I think Devers should go to first base because he's still a terrible third baseman, regardless of what people try to say. And I think we should have traded for Rooker. He's got 30 home runs in Oakland right now. What would he have done for the middle of our lineup? Thanks, guys.
That's Rooker, the outfielder, right?
Yep. Very
he bats right-handed as well,
Yes.
right? Jim in
35
Weston.
bombs.
Jim, go ahead.
Hey, guys, hypothetical question. If the Red Sox get swept by the White Sox this weekend and you have to fire or trade or release one person, who is it?
Interesting question. Milliken, who?
Probably Pete Fozzie with the way the offense has been going.
Hitting coach.
Yes, the hitting coach.
Andrew
Okay.
Bailey.
Whoa.
If you get swept by the White Sox, I'm sorry, somebody's got to go. Everybody, fire them all. I don't care.
I'd get rid of Bailey. I would. I hate the pitching philosophy, but that's a personal thing. And also, the pitching's gotten worse as the year's gone along.
And I do think that's fair. I think talent is factoring in here, but I also will say they've turned the corner and they've started to lean more into the sinkers, as we've seen with Tanner Houck.
Took him
Kinda
too
taking
long.
It did take a bit long. I won't deny that either. But I think for a staff, you still are in a better place than anyone thought you were going to be heading into this year with the injuries and everything they've gone through. I think for the Red Sox, there's clearly an issue here with strikeouts. They're third most in all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts right now. Say what you will for
You
where
mean
the offense
offensively,
is.
yeah.
Offensively, correct. There's an approach problem they kind of need to work through.
Okay. I think organizationally, there's probably an approach problem. 617-779-0985. Again, it's a Roundtable Friday here on the Baseball Hour. Tyler Milliken's here. Matt McCarthy's here. McCarthy will get you caught up on headlines. Don't go anywhere when we come back. More on the 2024 Red Sox and really the 2025 Red Sox.
On the ground again, left side of the infield. It's off the glove of Devers. Hamilton picks it out of the air, but no play to first. Kirk reaches.
It was just that little hop. Something off that grass that hit that dirt and just hopped up enough to warrant the error.
2-2, sent the other way down the left field line. Refsnyder into the corner. Overruns it. It bounces onto the warning track. Up to second is Loperfido. First pitch, line to right center field. It's a leadoff base hit for Guerrero. O'Neill bobbles it. Guerrero's thinking too. Here's the throw, the slide. It's not in time. Guerrero avoids the tag.
Yeah, Tyler O'Neill's going to his right really hard and trying to just cut it off. Ball hops up a little bit.
Pitch to Kirk. Bouncer right side of the infield out of the reach of Casas. Gasper is there. Throws to Martin covering the first base bag. He drops the ball. Guerrero around third. He scores.
This is a tough one right here.
So we're all signs of a bad team. Earlier in the night, we played for you earlier in the show. We played for you the walk montage from the last game in New York. 5 walks in the 8th inning. And I can't emphasize this part enough. By veteran pitchers. Mm-hmm. Kenley Jansen and Rich Hill are combined like 80 years old. I said this jokingly the other night. They get to play from the blue tees. Okay, they get to play from the forward tees because they can't hit the balls far anymore. So they get into a big spot in these games. They couldn't throw a strike between them. It's unbelievable. A couple of nights prior, the Red Sox are chucking the ball all over the place. Tyler O'Neill, Mr. Gold Glove.
Oh, farthest thing.
So maybe one of you can explain this to me. The throw to home plate where the guy, or the throw to any base where the outfielder leaves his feet and feels compelled to show the whole stadium that he's falling to the ground while making the throw, as if somehow that's an indication of effort, when really it's just stupid. Because he made a diving catch the other night that allowed a guy to tag up from third and score uncontested when he didn't need to dive for the ball. Okay, so I look at a guy like that and say, he's dumb. He doesn't get it.
He has no idea how to play the game.
It's a little Hunter Renfroe-esque.
It is, very much so. I'm glad you said that. I felt the same way.
The profile of the right-handed power-hitting outfielders that they've had in the last 3 years, Renfroe, Duvall, and now O'Neill. These are the emptiest baseball players you've ever seen. You know, Tyler O'Neill has 25 home runs this year and has 50 RBI?
Right.
How is that possible?
Right.
It's astonishing.
Because he never hits them with men on base.
Right, because he can't hit with men on base because he doesn't know how to play the game. I think that guy's a fraud. And I think the majority of the right-handed hitting outfielders they've had over the last few years have been frauds. Like, can we get serious about bringing in a guy who can actually play baseball and isn't a beer league softball player? Because that's who O'Neill is. And that's who Duvall was. And that's who Renfroe were. They were all beer league softball players.
And these are your right-handed bats in the middle of the lineup.
Right, not good enough.
Right, Duvall. And Duvall's a little bit better. I don't want to lump him with the other two.
I never instinct-wise looked at him, even in center field, where I was like, at times, it felt like his baseball IQ allowed him to live out there, which, Hunter Renfroe, when he couldn't hit a relay guy, or Tyler O'Neill, who I do think the conversation with O'Neill, there was a point those 2 years, 2020 and 2021, where he was a good fielder. I think part of it's the body, because he does anything semi-athletic these days, and it's an injury. It's 3 days. He needs a break. The knee's barking. This is barking. Something else is barking. I just think you're seeing a player who's not built to withstand 162, and that's always been the flaw and the complaint with him anyway.
They're all limited guys. But that's why they're available.
Yeah, when you talk about Renfroe and O'Neill, to me, those two guys are like baseball meatheads.
Yep.
Okay, baseball meatheads. But before we get back to the calls, I just want to ask, because Carabas said this to me the other night. Jared Carabas did. Maybe one of you can explain it. The outfielder who leaves his feet on the throw, it's called a janitor throw?
Correct.
Why?
I don't know where the actual term. I just remember when Sam Fuld used to do it all the time, almost Red Sox manager, now with the Phillies. That was when it seemingly got pretty popular.
Why? Janitor throw.
Yeah, because they have to sweep you up off the floor? Like, what? I don't get it.
Yeah, Google it. See if you can find that out, Milliken. That's your assignment for the next 10 minutes.
Thank you.
They didn't teach you that in the Tom Amansky video.
Mike is in a car. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, man. It's and I agree with what you're saying, but you keep on talking about the meatheads that are hitting, but it comes down to pitching. We will never be competitive until we get pitching. They have to trade. Yeah.
No, thank you. Sorry, I'm going to let you go, but I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm just bringing up other things. When people say the organization is closer or they're closer, again, that's the fundamental question for me. Today, September 6, 2024, are they closer to being a playoff team again than they were a year ago at this time or at the end of the season? Now, Milliken points to the development in the minor league system. I will grant you that some of these players have advanced. So by definition, they are closer. But are they really closer to being established big league regulars on a playoff team? And my answer is no. You're still sort of pinning the whole discussion about the Red Sox is still they're coming. They're not here yet. And if you say, well, they're going to be here next year, are they going to be at their peak next year? Or are they going to be legitimate middle of the order type of players, middle of the diamond players next year for a contending big league team? My answer is no.
Well, you're doing the Xander Bogaerts thing. It's like, how long was it before Xander Bogaerts was a player you could lean on?
Absolutely. And so the biggest needs on the team coming into the season were front-end starting pitching and a right-handed bat for the middle of the lineup. They have not gained on either of those. Tyler O'Neill is not the answer, and he's not coming back. He's not the answer the same way Hunter Renfroe wasn't the answer. They're basically going to have the same big league team they've had for the last 3 years. Since the start of 2019, if we want to go all the way back there. Again, I gave this record earlier because I looked it up yesterday. And not that this is anything new. Other people have done the same thing. They've played 500 baseball for 6 years. 6! While paying $1.3 billion in payroll. So their stopgap players have not been good. None of them have been guys you can keep. They just keep signing guys to one-year contracts, including pitchers who suck.
I do think the Tyler O'Neill thing, while I don't love the way he plays the game, to not act like that trade was a massive win. When you traded Nick Robertson and Victor Santos, two guys, I think it's what you should have done beyond that.
But it doesn't help
Tyler?
you beyond this.
To what end?
Here's the thing, Milliken. You won the trade, but where did that get you?
You're looking for the long-term building blocks, right? And I think that's where I'd kind of point, and you'd ask me, what's the difference between, 2023 and 2024, right? 2023, what was your rotation ERA in baseball? It was 4.68. That was 22 in all of baseball. This year, you're 12. So you have taken a step forward with your rotation. And you could sit there and question, what is going to be the future of the bullpen here as, Chris Martin and Kenley Jansen move on? Are they going to push Garrett Whitlock in that direction? And I don't disagree. I do think you need a right-handed bat. I believe there has been progress there, but I'm not going to fight away. When you're 15-26 against left-handed starters this year, I think it's pretty telling of what you need in your lineup.
Do you have front-end starters?
No, you still need, but your rotation's improved. You don't jump 10 spots just getting lucky and everything working for you.
What is their team ERA in the last 2.5 months?
I can pull that up for you if you want an exact number.
Find out. I'd be willing to bet their pitching ERA in the last 2.5 months is one of the worst in the game.
Yeah, but I don't think you can look at that. That's
Why not?
Part of it's where in a lot of cases where you had guys pitching beyond what they had done before, right? We were talking in May and even late April, what was going to happen when Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford hit some of these innings limits.
So then can you count on those guys next year?
I think it's a building block, just like it's a building block
How
for someone
long are
like
they
Brian
gonna keep
Bayo.
building?
Well, this is the first season either one of them has started across an entire season, is it not? Like, you can't take those steps unless you go through some of the growing pains. And I think that's why I look at someone like Tanner Houck right now and I see, hey, he's taking a step forward now as the year kind of ends. That's what I want to see. Even a Brian Bayo, who at the end of last year at this time, he was getting destroyed. It was right before his blow-up. The last 11 starts, his ERA is a 3.8 going back to the All-Star break, and he's missing more bats than ever.
Tyler,
I do think there's progress there.
When was Tanner Houck drafted?
Go all the way back 2017.
Okay, and how old is he now?
27.
Okay, so next year he's going to be 28.
Yep.
And they still haven't gotten him through a whole season.
Yeah, it took time. Well, you didn't have any kind of pitching development for all these years.
Okay, so again, I'm not going to look past that. So the fact that they haven't had it in all these years, I'm supposed to forget that now?
No, but this is where you are now. It starts, it's not going to happen overnight.
Correct. This is where you are now. You're really no closer.
I think having 3 guys in the rotation you can pencil in, and now you know that's going to be there. You didn't have that a year ago.
Right. You have your 3, 4, and 5 pitchers. Who are your 1 and 2?
That's where you need to go do and spend. And I can understand if you're like, well, hey, we don't know if you're going to do that. That's where, to me, the building blocks, you have more assets where I don't want to hear the same excuse that you drop after winter weekend happens, that we need the big 3 to develop because that's what everything is waiting on. You have too many assets. You can't use that as an excuse anymore.
Mazz, they have more assets, but they don't have the pieces.
Well, and I'll
they
say
don't fit.
So my only point to Tyler, I'll say the same thing. If they come back with the same roster, no one's going to be interested.
More than fair.
No one is going to believe that Tanner Houck is a front-end guy, or that because they're not. We've seen plenty with these guys. I'm not telling you I hate Tanner Houck. Can he be on the staff? Sure. Yes. Same thing with Crawford. Sure. 4 or 5 starter. Fine. No problem. I'm in. Bayo, maybe in the middle of the rotation. He's inconsistent, immature. He has a nice little run going right now. I'm not sure he can do it for any stretch of time. So if they come back with the same guys, I'm supposed to buy in? No chance.
It's just you have the ingredients there to make something special at this point. It's just up to you whether you want to cook it.
Okay. So again, and that again speaks to leadership and decision-making in GM, and can you identify the right players and trade the other ones? And I have no evidence that they can do that.
And I'll tell you right now, they're at about $178 million going into this offseason. The luxury tax, the first one next year, or for 2025, it's $241. Now, if they draw the line at $225 like they did this year and say, hey, we're staying below it, you're screwed. To me, whatever excuse, and maybe they just come out with the next one for this upcoming year, I don't know what your possible next excuse could be.
Did you find their ERA yet for the last 2.5 months?
Let me do that right
Keep
now.
going, Tyler.
July 1st or June 1st?
Take your pick. You tell me whichever one's worse. Bill's in Westwood. Bill, what do you got?
Just wanted to let you know with a janitor throw, it's when you throw a guy, an outfielder throwing the ball, cutting out runners. So he's cleaning up the bases, janitor throw.
Janitor throw, that's what it's called?
You clean. It's a janitor throw, cleaning up the bases.
No. But I'm told the janitor throw is when the guy throws and leaves his feet. That's what I'm told. So it's got nothing to do with.
I get it. It's like a try hard thing, throwing like that.
Right.
So the little kids on the baseball field, like that's a janitor throw. I'm throwing the guy out of third. That's that type of crap.
Okay, so they assume you're getting the guy out by leaving your feet.
Exactly.
All right. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
You ever watch the Kent Murphy videos? You ever seen those? They used to go viral all the time. I think he was a YouTuber. It was like, the Dinger. He had made the joke. It was an Aaron Hernandez one that used to go viral all the time. I think that's where the slang term came from. And just to clean up on these numbers.
Okay, hold on. Sit tight. You found the ERA?
Yes, and I picked the one I like.
Okay, good. We'll disclose that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We'll wrap it up on the baseball hour.
Stay tuned for more of the
I suck, man. It was tough. I think we went to Detroit 2.5 games back. We're 3.5 games back, and now we're 5.5. We're playing 500. Like I said, right now we're just an average team. So we gotta show up on Friday and try to be better. It's a huge homestand. This one coming up.
Alex Cora said that on Wednesday night. Friday night, the White Sox are here. They haven't played a game yet. Rich Hill's gone. They brought up a lefty reliever whose name is what?
Righty reliever, Luis Guerrero.
Oh, he's right-handed.
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was
power
lefty.
righty.
Mazz, let's not pretend like the Red Sox have any left-handed pitchers in their organization anywhere.
Respect Cam Boozer.
Luis Guerrero. Okay, Luis Guerrero is here, and Cora says, well, we got to bring up someone who can help us now and in the future, which suggests that they're now putting an emphasis on getting people some exposure that they can make decisions on for next year. Trevor Story returning to the lineup tomorrow. Why? I don't know. Ceddanne Rafael is going to play second base for the rest of the year. Feels to me like the Red Sox are starting the clock on 2025. Tyler was trying to tell me that their pitching staff has gotten a lot better. I think it's gotten worse.
I was not going that far.
But I asked him to look up. He says they're 12th in the league in ERA. 14th. Last year they were like 28th, 26th, whatever it was.
Oh, okay. So you're referring to the actual numbers for this season. So 2023, you go back, what were they in terms of rotation ERA? They were 22nd at 4.68. You go to 2024, in terms of what their rotation has been, they're sitting at 12 at 3.93.
Okay, so I get you half a run better. What have they been in the last 2 months?
So their starting rotation dating back to July 1st right now, they are 14th in baseball at 420.
420.
Correct.
That doesn't sound right, Tyler.
It puts you right between Oakland and Toronto.
What about the whole staff? Oh, those are two good teams. What about the whole staff?
Oh, well, you didn't ask for that originally, but if we're going to add the worst bullpen in all of baseball, you move down to 28th.
Worst. Oh, interesting.
The bullpen has collapsed. I don't think anybody's arguing, but would you tell me this bullpen and what it's built should be that bad?
It doesn't matter what it should be. It
sucks.
matters what it is.
No, but in terms of the talent level there, I think this is a team, in the second half in terms of those bullpen arms, that is just greatly underperformed.
Okay.
And there's not significant arsenal changes for any of these guys.
McCarthy, ask him who's going to be in the bullpen next year.
Milliken, who's going to be in the bullpen next year?
Well, that's the best part. A lot of these guys that have sucked in the second half won't be here.
Oh, so you're starting from ground zero at that point.
I wouldn't say ground zero. I still think you have the makings, but you're
Like
looking
who?
at Justin Slayton, right, as a guy who's going to have to factor in, who's
I
been
like
hurt.
him.
Liam Hendricks, who has not been on this team, coming back from Tommy John.
Yeah.
Michael Fulmer, another guy who's been a solid seventh inning arm.
More
coming
injured
back.
guys.
Let's respect Michael Fulmer, please.
Let's not.
And then I think that's where the Garrett Whitlock thing factors in as well.
Garrett Whitlock,
sure,
right.
In the
Another guy who's
bullpen?
hurt.
We can't put him in the bullpen?
So you just gave me 3 guys who got hurt.
They're going to be healthy.
Actually, Slayton got hurt this year, so that's 4 guys. Who
All
have been
right.
hurt,
Well,
Mazz.
injuries happen.
Yes.
Let's not act like Justin Slayton can't pitch.
Milliken, how old are you?
I'm 26, unfortunately.
Matt, how old are you?
I'm 33.
See, those are a big 7 years.
Yeah, really.
Really?
Yeah.
What happens during those years?
You get more cynical and jaded.
Nah, I was always cynical and jaded, Mazz.
Let me tell you about this Luis Guerrero guy.
You start to see reality for what it is. Am I going to see both you guys next Friday?
You sure will.
100%.
I love
We're going to
this.
see you next Friday? That's the real question.
I'd say right now it's 50-50.
Why don't we just, you know what, Mazz, do you even need to stick around for the hour? Just let Milliken go off and do his thing. It's great.
No,
Just let him do it.
I'll be here next Friday.
Don't put
that's
the
good.
people through that,
We'll
please.
be here every Friday through the rest of the month as the Red Sox wrap up this season.
All 3 more episodes.
Joe Murray. I know I missed all the Fridays. Joe Murray has got your point.